All right, chat. I'm kind of torn here because on one hand we have the potential to watch the entire interview, and on the other hand, I don't know if I want to. So Cenk Uygur has officially announced his presidential campaign candidacy campaign. The full interview is, for some reason, 44 minutes and 44 seconds. To my understanding, it's him explaining things to Ana Kasparian. To her credit, it seems bewildered. We also have relevant clips from the Twitter account Post Left Watch, which feels like it would make me suffer less than watching 44 minutes of this. In fact, I'm not going to. It's so unserious a claim that I feel it's stupid to spend like an hour and a half going over it. Like, it's not worthy of the time. Just a moment. Let's go. Cenk?
So the idea is to create enough pressure on Biden. And here's how you get the pressure. One of the ways you get the pressure is everybody thinks that I have almost no chance of winning, right? Well, let's keep it real. Everybody knows.
Really?
That, right? They're like, oh,
Twitter?
Your name is funny. You weren't born here. You're a progressive. You're an outsider, et cetera, right? If I get to 20 or 25,
Twitter.
panic
Are we
sets
kidding?
in. There's no question panic sets in because there's two things that happen there. One, the other candidates go, well, Biden is enormously weak, right? Number two is Biden begins to realize the handwriting's on the wall. If this Cenk Uygur, who he probably can't pronounce, has gotten to 25, the handwriting's on the wall. He's gotta go. And by the way, Anna, the reason why this is realistic is because there are a lot of people in Washington, inside the establishment, that are trying to get Joe Biden to drop out. We need to help them. We need to create that.
Citation needed. Yeah, so what he's saying is he will get like 25% of the primary vote somehow. And that will inspire Joe Biden to drop out, and then other people will take his place somehow. Of course, he doesn't actually believe this, but we'll get to that in a second. The astute of you might know that Cenk cannot legally be president. He is not a natural-born citizen. His claim, apparently, is that he is going to take it to the Supreme Court and win in a striking victory. So he can't even be president, but he's going to, in the span of a year, he's going to do this landmark Supreme Court case where he overturns constitutionally old precedent that is clearly laid out in the Constitution. It's not like a blurry line. And then he's going to inspire an incumbent Democratic president to drop out and be replaced by someone else. And that person then will do better against Trump. So obviously, he doesn't actually believe any of this. Let me tell you what Cenk actually wants, okay? Cenk wants people to pay attention to him and to give him money for his phony presidential campaign so that he can funnel it both to himself and to TYT, which is financially struggling right now. He wants book sales, and he wants, because he's pushing a book as well, and he wants money that he can sort of blur and spread around his sort of failing enterprise. There is no other explanation for this. Now, credit where credit is due. Apparently, Ana Kasparian actually does push back on this, which makes me wonder, like, if she is behind the scenes pushing against this ridiculous plan and can't believe that Cenk is going through with it. Like, this is what this says to me is that Cenk is giving up on what he's currently doing, because it's really difficult to be taken seriously running a progressive news channel after this. You know what I mean? Like, it really invalidates any possible future work you could do to do this ridiculous stunt. It just undercuts everything. It makes it almost impossible to take him seriously. This is the one thing that he'll be remembered for, which is insane because he's done. Sorry, I hit the play button. Because he's done so many things, like the fact that he is at this point putting forward a new thing that he will only be remembered for is pretty insane. But yeah, whatever. I think that he's giving up on his regular job and throwing it away in favor of like a last ditch effort at getting some cash. maybe he's, man, I don't know. Maybe he's trying to pivot into some kind of right-wing career. I have no idea, but this is so destructive for his reputation. Anyway, let's see what Ana Kasparian has to say. Yes, he ran in a special election for California rep and failed miserably, like really, really, really badly. It was kind of spectacular how badly he did, as a matter of fact. Considering his clout online, it didn't translate to real-life clout at all, coming in only 6.6% of the, and like losing in the runoff with just over 10,000 votes in total. Cenk Uygur, I mean, you know, he's not nobody. He's not just a YouTuber. The guy helped found the Justice Dems, right? He's largely responsible for the promotion of the Squad early on, running the Young Turks network. I mean, he's not nobody, but it just doesn't translate into real-life clout. That's the lesson that we learned from this, right? It does not translate into real-life clout. By the way, a Republican ended up winning this district in the special election, in case you were wondering.
Fail to understand how any potential Democratic candidate would see your run as a sign that they need to enter the race. I really do. I don't see it.
No, we got to knock Biden out. There's no other way around it. We have to knock Biden out. So now the guys who are not running currently, yeah, they're...
Is that a threat to Biden? Secret Service, arrest him. He was just in D.C. I know you have access to him.
They believe in authoritarian rules, right? If the dear leader, Joe Biden, says, I don't care if I'm 90 or 200, you will bow. They bow. And that is not what a Democrat is supposed to be. We're not supposed to bow down to authority.
Notice how his rhetoric at this point is almost identical to Jimmy Dore's. I think this is because he's realized that Jimmy Dore has a much more monetizable scheme than he does. By being like progressive-leaning liberals, who lean towards institutional credibility without actually having it, he's opened himself up to, I guess, attack from a bunch of different directions, and he's not as popular as he used to be. Whereas Jimmy Dore has gotten a ton of clout, attention, and money just by being a lunatic anti-vaxxer, you know, basically is like a one-man show. His rhetoric here is almost identical to Jimmy Dore's, and Jimmy Dore was, of course, at a point his protege and sexual harasser of Ana Kasparian. Genuinely asking Vaush, do you know that Cenk is doing this for money, or are you just assuming that because that's the best explanation for why he's doing it? I mean, I can't read his mind. I never know for a fact why anyone is doing anything. They could say they're doing it for a reason, but be lying. I think it's far more likely that this is a desperate last-ditch effort at clawing out some kind of niche, monetizable sector while funneling some money into his failing enterprise, because I don't know what else this could be if not for attention and grift. You know? Like, what else could this possibly be for? Genuinely. His campaign policy proposals are the same as Biden's. Populist shit, it's just him baiting money. Yeah, like, it doesn't make any sense otherwise. Vaush, I spoke to people at TYT close to this. Who are you, Benjamin? And the opposite is true. Everyone is telling Cenk not to do that. It will hurt TYT views/revenue. That this is a true crusade, not a grift. He knows this will hurt them. Yeah, then he might be trying to like bail himself. I don't know. Again, like the more people are incredibly stupid, but this is beyond the pale. Are we being real here? I'm going to get 25% of the primary vote, thus forcing Biden to drop out, even though he's the incumbent, and inspire other people to do this like last-ditch entry into the race. And also I'm going to win a Supreme Court case on constitutional precedent that goes back to the founding of the country. Like, do we seriously believe he actually believes this? Like, come on. They're past a point. You can't possibly believe this is just ignorance. Like, yeah, he was a principled advocate for progressive policies for 15 years, and then all of a sudden, all of this happened all at once. I don't buy it.
We're supposed to challenge authority.
Well, they're doing it to protect our democracy, Cenk.
Oh, yeah.
Democracy is under threat. So.
Yeah, if you're one of those Democratic governors, don't you ever dare say that democracy is under threat and not run against the guy who has almost no chance of winning. We're giving the election to Donald Trump. I'm not going to do it. I'll do anything to make sure that doesn't happen. By the way, if you agree, just...
Do you agree? Buy my book.
It doesn't matter what your politics is. Just send in $1.
Dude, dog, come on.
at cenkforamerica.com as like a protest. Oh, please, another candidate. Please.
As a protest. Yeah, as a dog, just as a protest. Give me some money.
Please, me or anyone else. Okay, so
me or anyone else. What who anyone else? What? Yeah, I'm not buying this shit. I can't predict the future, but my personal guess is that he's envious of the money and clout that Jimmy Dora's gotten, and he's looking for a way out himself. Kind of crazy to imagine him trying to grab a way out, considering he's kind of the face of the organization, but it's not impossible. Look at his campaign website. It's so shit. Yeah. Oh my God. Not even a gradient? Not even a gradient. Really? Come on. Have you heard of this site called Squarespace? Web design is my passion. Do you think he's maybe had this on the back burner since the early 2000s? He's just like updated the text and the dates a little bit. What are the policy positions? Policy. What is there like a? Is there not like a? Why do you have a home button when there's no page other than the home page? Why would trans people make Cenk do this? Yeah. Oh my God, Vaush, you're the 1 millionth visitor. Say what you will about Hassan, his recent behavior has actually been less embarrassed than this. Oh, this is significantly more embarrassing than having like pretty good domestic positions, but sucking Xi Jinping's cock. This is worse than that by far. Decades and decades of consistent, principled, progressive advocacy, mostly, undermined in this desperate, pathetic bid for attention and money. God. Hope I don't turn out like this. Is this worse than telling people that voting doesn't matter? It's more embarrassing than it. This is you at 35, lol. Yeah. Do you think Cenk has less money than you? I hope not. I have to clamor shit together every tax season. If he has less money than me, I have no idea how the fuck he's gonna afford the travel to do the press speaking he'll need to do to keep this grift up. Cenk is calling himself a proxy. I mean, I guess if nothing else, it's important to remember that this is all like harmless because this isn't going to affect anything. Well, I will say him repeatedly saying Biden isn't going to win is pretty like saying stuff like this. This is the equivalent of like looking at the bad polls and then getting doomer pilled and not participating in the election. If you keep arguing that Biden isn't going to win, then that might convince people to not go out and vote for him because they think it's a lost cause anyway. Dude, do you think, okay, since he's already gone full crazy, how far do you think it's going to go? Do you think he's going to say, like, when he loses the primary, inevitably, he's going to be like, actually, the DNC establishment shut me down, you know? And then, like, if Biden wins, he's going to be like, they had to cheat or something. Like, what do you think is going to go? Like, what direction do you think we're going to go here? Biden personally, yeah. Will you buy merch? I will not buy merch. Not even a little bit. Not even if it's funny. Is he doing the primary independent? Primary. He's running down. Cenk said that when he lost the primary when he ran for Congress. Wait, did he? He said the media lied about him, which is true. Benjamin, how are you such a TYT stan? You give me an enormous amount of money in donations. Shouldn't you be helping them out? They seem to be struggling more than me. The Humanist Report is making fun of him. Yeah, I saw Humanist Report's running their own. Yeah. There's just no excuse for this behavior. He was a TYT viewer before you, if I recall correctly. I've never been a TYT viewer. I've never independently watched a TYT segment for anything other than the stuff that I do for my stream. As in a TYT viewer turn into a Vaush viewer, you idiot. Whoa! All right. Vaush, basically remember all the clip chimps of you and that's what they did for Cenk? Yeah, it's almost like YouTubers aren't good political candidates because it takes a lot of really careful, like public-facing control and like presentational control in order to be a good politician, and YouTubers don't have that. I think the funny thing is that he doesn't even have a policy page. The policies that Cenk lists on his website aren't even like different from Biden's, right? Paid family leave, 15 minimum wage, public option, and gerrymandering. Is this not just the Biden campaign? I know what he means here, where he's saying 84% of Americans want this, 65% of Americans want this. But I like how this website is so poorly designed that he's not even specifying this. Biden is 13 points lower than when he barely beat Trump in the Electoral College, 44,000 votes. Can somebody explain to me how I'm not supposed to think he's being dishonest when he is hardcore framing the polling data as though we know for a fact that the current polling data is representative of like what it would be proportionally in the previous election? Like, Cenk was one of the people who was like, oh, here's this one massive outlier poll that showed Donald Trump leading Biden in 18-year-olds. You know, this must be totally authentic and definitely representative of the actual polling data. You know, like, it's so obviously dishonest.